Is it Windows or is it? Okay. Mm-hmm. Is it Windows or is it? There we go. Oh yeah, it definitely needs an update. Okay, okay. All right, so before we get started, y'all remember the rules? If not, I happen to have it right here on the screen. All right, so rules, right? So, of course, from last week to this week, we're sharing that we're trying to do two classes, right? So we have the regular service, we have the Hebrew class, right? So
Windows?
I'm trying to make sure that we can get enough time to do both. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So
Definitely needs an update.
okay, okay. All right, all right. So it says rule one: please keep your mic muted except when asking or answering a question. Okay. Use the mic to speak. Those that are on the Zoom, there's a thing where you guys can raise your hand. I'm hoping that we'll be monitoring whoever's raising their hand so that it won't go too far away from the lesson. All questions must be on topic. You have 60 seconds to ask or answer a question. I have questions. So that's why I wanted to keep it minimal because I always ask everybody questions just to see where everybody's at. I don't know where everybody's at. So to help those that are there, your answers could help others, and those that don't know, they can get the question answered. Now, after 60 seconds, if you're still going, then the mic will be muted. I mean, you can still keep going, it's just your mic will be muted. Okay, that's all that usually means. All right, so I hope they don't take no offense to that, but we have to get this moving. All right, so we're going to pick up from last week, and we're going to go a little bit more into understanding our communication, words, how words work, and then ultimately we're going to see how words work within us and a pattern of how DNA works. Okay, is everyone with me so far? All right, remember some Hebrew words I gave last week was to say, does everyone understand? Everyone remember what that was? Kulam mevinim. Kulam mevinim. Kulam mevinim just means everyone understands, right? Kulam mevinim. All right. So we'll start with Colossians 1:16. It says, "For by him were all things created that are in Shamayim or in heaven, and that are in Aretz or the earth, visible and invisible, whether they be thrones or dominions or principalities or powers. All things were created by him and for him." We're not going to go over it today, but for your own studies, just think about the pattern. Shamayim or heaven goes with things that are what? Invisible. Things that are on earth are things that are visible. And then it says, whether they be thrones, dominions, principalities, powers, all things are created by him and for him. Why would he need dominions, principalities, powers, thrones? Why does he need that? Hmm? Okay. Mhm. All right. All right. So in layman's terms, um, we're going to see that everything, there's a balance, good and bad. There is a balance. Some of the things that are considered bad or negative is to really help you get stronger. There is a balance to everything. Okay, so we'll see how that works later. All right, so, and he is before all things, and by him all things consist. And the word for consist is sunestemi, which means to hold all things together. That's the point, to hold all things together from the Greek. All right, so you're going to see in this lesson here, we're going to be talking a lot about joining, coupling, holding things together. We're going to see how that works for some of us. All right, for others, we'll see. All right, so in the Hebrew, the word Sal or Sav in the modern Hebrew says, which is a root word for command. That's one of the words is command, right? It's also translated in the King James Version as commandment in some areas. That is called the standard model that would hold the universe together. Is made up of two things. We're not going to talk about a lot of it today, the fermions and the bosons. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with that, but they are particles. That's what makes up this world, this earth, right? So you're going to see how this works. So the word particle comes from the word parse. Everyone heard the word parse before? I want to parse out a Hebrew, or I want to parse out something. Same word for the word part. So everyone should understand what that means. Parse, particle, part. What does that tell you? It's a part of something, right? So we're going to see there's a lot of parts and particles and parsing that we need to understand to get the whole. And as we come together as a family, as Mr. Kai, you're going to see that you may hold a part. I may hold a part. Everyone may hold a part, and we can come together as a whole if we decide to do it the way he wants us to do it. So we'll see how that works. All right, so from our things that are made, i.e., what you can see, touch, taste, they would be the nouns, if you will, of the universe. Things that you can literally see are things that will be considered, for us right now, we'll say like earthly, if you will. All right. Bosons are the unseen forces and or energy that interacts between the fermions. Things you can see, i.e., the particles in the universe. This is your verb or action, right? And the word mitzvah or mitzvah is the word for commandment. So you see in the particle, this is the whole word, but in it you see the word command. If I say command, your question should be command what command? So something has to come with a command. It can't be, which we'll see later on, like I'll give you another one, lo. Lo means no or not, right? But if I say no or not what, you got to give me more information. I only gave you a part of something. So unless I fill this thing up to tell you a no or a yes and all this other stuff, what it means, you'll see that I don't understand because you only gave me a part of something. And we're going to see how that works actually in the scriptures as well. All right, so I want to show how things that are unseen get into things that are seen, how it operates. Can anyone give me an example of that? Something that is unseen get into something that is seen.
Physical thing or spiritual thing?
Anything that's unseen. Anything unseen. Okay, one says fear. Okay, good. Fear. Possession.
Speak.
Spirit. Okay. What else? Huh?
You speak something.
Say it one more time.
When you use your words, when you speak something out loud.
Okay, when you speak something that you don't know until they speak it out, until it comes out. Okay, so we'll see a lot of that later on, but just understand that there are a lot of things that are unseen, but we won't recognize it until it starts to come out of us. When it starts to come out of us, we'll start to understand you more, each individual person, if you will. Okay. So 2-letter words. Good. Everyone's familiar with this one here, right? Isaiah or Yahuah 28:10. In the Hebrew, I'll just read the Hebrew with the English here, but it says ki, then it says sal la sal, which means for it is precept upon precept. Then it says sal la sal is precept upon precept. But notice, what's the word for precept? Right, but precept in the Hebrew, where is the word for precept? It's right. I want you to see it. Remember, 2 letters. 2 letters. All you see here, it's out of key, right? Okay, great. So, right. So first we said it's command, and now you read it as precept. Is anyone with me so far? First is command, now you see it as precept. Now, it's going to get a little strange. I got an ESV version, I got a King James version. Now listen to what it says from the ESV first. Ephraim is oppressed, crushed in judgment, because he was determined to go after filth. Acharei Sal, right? After filth. King James reads, Ephraim is oppressed and broken in judgment because he was willing to walk after commandment. Okay? So, why such a difference in the scriptures, right? Because context is missing, syntax is missing, and it's all based off of those two letters. So, can you guys just tell me why one says filth and one says commandment? Okay. Well, before I answer, I just want to know if you guys are studying this out. I'm not saying you guys are studying this thing out in the Hebrew, but if you guys are using other translations, some translations are good, some translations are not. But the question that becomes is, if I use King James for an example, and it says, Ephraim is oppressed and broken in judgment because he's willingly walking after the commandment, is that good or bad?
That's not good because it's saying he's
Good?
oppressed and broken because he's walking after the commandment.
Right, so it says he's oppressed and broken in judgment because he's willingly walking after commandment. As though it's
a contradiction, yes.
Okay. And then over here, ESV says, well, let me help out. He's walking after its own filth. But when you but mind you, what's missing here is context and
syntax.
Right? So you see what I mean? In other words, in order for us to understand Scripture, it all has to come together. We hear precept upon precept. You need these parts or particles to get this understanding. All right, so basically what they were following is under their own commandments, not the Father's commandments. That's why it's considered filth in the ESV version. So that's the reason. Okay? Is everyone with me so far?
Not that the meaning or the definition is filth.
Right, no. No, this one here is they're translated this way because it doesn't make sense for some. If I say commandment, it's just like in traditional Christianity. If you say the law, automatically that's bad. I don't care what you say, law is bad. But then if you say, well, the law said to love your neighbor as yourself. Oh, well, that's different. What's different about it? It's still a law. There's laws, but same no different here. This is a command, but the way that they were operating in the command was they were doing it of their own dealings, their own ways.
You find that in the context of the...
Right. You'll read the whole thing. You'll see. All right. So scripture, confusion, understanding with the two-letter word. So what is the difference, if any, between syntax and context according to the Hebrew? What's the difference? What's the syntax? What's the context? It's okay if you want to give me a Webster's dictionary if you like. But it kind of mirrors the Hebrew anyway. So anyone want to take a stab at it? No? Okay. I think they're just a little nervous. All right, so the Hebrew word for syntax is hever. Okay, hever, syntax. Now, hever means syntax, but you're going to also see something, which we all would probably understand, is in Ezekiel 37:16. Moreover, you son of man, take you one stick, or chet, or tree, and write upon it for Yehudah and of the children of Israel, or Yisrael, Israel, his companions. Then take another stick and write upon it for Joseph, the stick of Ephraim, and for all the house of Yisrael, or Israel, or Israel, his companions. The word companions is the same word for hever. The word companion, same word for syntax. We'll see in just a minute. The 5 curtains shall be coupled. The word that couple is the same word, hever, same word for companion, same word for syntax. Together, one to another, and other 5 curtains shall be coupled one to another. Okay? So far, hever has how many definitions?
3.
3. Everyone agrees? All right.
All meaning about the same.
Okay, meaning the same. So, this is also the same word for friend. Shalom chaverim, like shalom friends. Right? Same word for friends. So what does friend, syntax, join, and companion have in common?
They all come together.
It's a union.
Okay, great. It's a union. They come together. Linking couple, companions, okay. A relationship. Okay? So a relationship, they must relate one to another. They cannot be coupled together unless they agree. So now they can be, like we saw the tabernacle are being coupled together. You're seeing the two sticks becoming one. They're going to become the companions or friends again. This is how syntax work. Right? Is everyone with me so far? That's syntax.
Okay.
Anyone want to try context? No? Okay. All right. No problem. All right, so the Hebrew word for context is hechasher. Okay? Hechasher. So the root word is chasher, means to bind together. You can see how both words can relate, having the understanding of joining together. So everyone sees that part, right? It also means joining something to be fully understood or to get clarity, context. Is everyone with me so far? All right. In modern Hebrew, kasher also means conspiracy. Why? What's a conspiracy?
Or when people agree on something that may be positive or negative.
Okay? So two or more people come together or bond together for the same purpose, be it good or be it bad. Okay? Is everyone with me so far? Man, y'all don't have a lot to say this go around, huh?
Well, we're listening.
Okay, I got
listening.
you. All right. I see.
Last week was easy.
All right.
This week is a little more,
All right. We'll see what happens.
We were just reviewing last week.
Okay. All right, so we will see how on the DNA helix, everyone's familiar with the DNA helix. If not, look to the left of your screen. Two pairs of hydrogen bonds. The message will have to come out of the DNA in a way that will preserve the DNA, which stays in the nucleus, right? So the way that this happens is going to be the way that we're going to operate, which we'll see in the future. The same way this happens in our body should be the same way we're going to be communicate with one another. Okay? So, I gave here's some examples of two-letter words that you guys are familiar with, all or low or mean. Right? Everyone's familiar with those words? Low? Okay, I'm glad we are together. All right. All right, so in the Hebrew, you would see the word mechef. Now, mechef is that little dash, as you'll see right here. See, this is mechef. This is a mechef. This is a mechef. Okay,
You might
everyone
want
sees
to
it?
circle it on the board.
Okay. I'll give it here, here, and here. That's the mechef. All right, but it's joining something. But notice the two letters. When you have two letters, and which we're going to get into later about parent root and things like that, right? So, in a parent root, you're going to see the analogy I gave last week was you got a parent, right, and then you have a child, which gives you that third letter, which winds up becoming a root. Y'all remember that last week? All right, so sometimes the parent root doesn't give you all the information. It takes another letter or something else to happen in order for you to get the understanding. But for who's that? Okay. Kananya, who you had a question?
Kabar bar ua, I think, and it has the same root word as you were speaking of being united.
Okay, say it one more time because your mic
Uh,
was muted.
Can you hear me now?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I was doing a research on the root word you were talking, kabar,
Mm-hmm.
and tiger stripe is kabar bara, which is the same root, so it means to be joined together. A tiger stripe.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. So here we have the first word we have is all. Now read this in Hebrew. It says al penei hamayim, right? Al penei hamayim. This is in Bereshit. Al penei hamayim, which means on the face of the water. But if I didn't have the Pnei Hamayim, the face of water, I said all, you would need to say all on what? Upon what? Right? You don't know. So the context, you need more to understand it. Is everyone with me so far? The next one you see over here is El Makom Echad, right? So El, two, Makom, place, Echad, one. So technically this says two, one place. Okay, again, it's in Bereshit. The last one here says Min Haaretz, from the land. So if I say from something, you say from what? So there's a context that has to take place, right? So all this is just grammar right now, nothing for you guys to really get worked up about, or I don't know it, I don't understand it. You'll see this much, much, much later. Same thing, I put lo, which is a negative particle, or kin, which is a positive particle. So we'll see how that works. Okay, we're going to go past this, but I started not to put this on here, but just for the understanding here, at the very top, that's like the unseen area, or Shamayim, if you will, or heaven. And the waves are the vibrations. If you understand where it says, and the Ruach Merakefet on the Mayim, on the water, the Spirit moved, as it says in King James, it moved on the water. But if you look at the word Merakefet, it literally means it vibrated, right? So there's a vibration going on. There's an energy going on that was being placed onto the earth, which we'll talk about a little bit later. And then the bosons, you'll see it in the middle there, which things that can be seen. So that's why I said we'll talk about a lot of this stuff once we get into making both of these things one. All right, so here's a question for you. His word is alive. Does everyone believe his word is alive? Okay. So Jeremiah or Yirmiyahu 23:28 says, the prophet that has a dream, let him tell a dream. And he that has my word, let him speak my word. How? Faithfully. What is the chaff to the wheat, saith Yahuah. So again, if you're going to speak his word, you have to speak his word faithfully, right? You can't be putting your stuff into it to make it happen, right? You know, with me? All right, 29 says, is not my word like as a fire, saith Yahuah, and like a hammer that breaks the rock in pieces? Is that physical? Is that spiritual? How does that work? Can you take his word, go get yourself a scripture, and go find a rock and beat on it, and you should break the rock? Or you should hit it, something come out fire? What does this mean?
We have to look at the context
Okay.
and what it's saying.
She said no.
Because I'm saying it's a metaphor or
She said no. All right, so what I'm getting at is, I want you to see that his word can do this in our life. For example, your word can break somebody. Your word can cause someone to be on fire. Is anyone with me so far?
physically or literally?
Huh?
Physically or
Spiritual. That's why I said, what does this mean? Are we saying that I can take his word? Because the first question I'm going to say, what word are you talking about? You're going to go get a King James Bible or a scripture version, and you're going to go outside and bust the rock and say the rock is going to break? No. So then you got to say, so in this has to be talking about something spiritual. So now I'm saying if his word is alive, I'm giving an example how your words can be alive in somebody, but it also can break that person. It can set them on fire spiritually, right? Or mentally. I mean, the action is going to come out physical, if you will, but where all this stuff starts is the word can do that. So this part I want you to see first. Okay? John 1:1 says, in the beginning was the Word. Now, everyone believes the Word made everything, right? Okay, great. So in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with Elohim. Now, of course, I put on here, if you look at the Hebrew, it says the Word was next to Elohim, okay? And the Word was Elohim in King James, or the Word was a Elohim in the older Greek copies. Okay. John 1:14 says, and the Word was made flesh and it dwelt among us, and we beheld his esteem, the esteem as of the only begotten of the Father, full of favor and truth. Acts 7:37 says, this is that Mushar Moses, which said unto the children of Israel, or Yisrael, a prophet, shall Yahuah your Elohim raise up unto you of your brethren, like unto me, him shall you hear. This is he that was in the assembly in the wilderness with the Malach, or the messenger, commonly called the angel, which spoke unto him in the Mount Sinai, and with our fathers, who received the lively oracles, which we're going to talk about in just a minute, to give unto us. When it says lively oracles, what does that mean? His words, his commandments, they're lively. His word is living. Is everyone with me so far? Okay, great. So if you understand all of this so far, before I go to the next slide, does anyone have any questions here? Okay. So the word there is, for the oracle, is logion. Logion, which you get the root of the word logos, which gets the word for word, or devar, as we say in modern devar, right? Septuagint has a little bit different. Devar, Septuagint has Hoshin for the breastplate of the high priest. You want to figure why? Why would the Septuagint translate that as the hmm? Hmm? Okay, we're going to see. So the first way to think about it is, let me just see how you guys are thinking. Where is the breastplate? It's on your chest. It's on your heart. Everyone agrees? The priest, right? Okay, great. So that must mean that the Septuagint is trying to allude or give you a hint that the word needs to be somewhere. Okay, is everyone good so far? It should be on your, it's in my, okay. Okay. Some examples. So the oracle, a divine communication or revelation. So the oracles of Elohim, which we're going to read in just a minute, you said the oracles of Elohim is what? The oracles of Elohim is his commandments, his words. Everyone agrees. Okay. I agree with you. So you don't have to be quiet. Hebrews 5:12 says, for the time you ought to be teachers, you have need that one teach you again, which be the first principles of the oracles of Elohim, and are become such as been need of milk and not of strong meat. So those teachers are need to be retaught because what? They don't understand the first principles of the oracles. So you have to understand that in their day, we had to figure out what was oracles in their day. Not what we consider oracles today, but in their day, right? So oracles in their day was the Father's word, his commandments, right? How do you know that? Romans 3:1-2 says, what advantage then does the Yahudim, or what profit is there of circumcision? Much in every way, chiefly because unto them were committed
the oracles of Elohim.
The oracles of Elohim. And these same oracles was with them at Mount Sinai. So that's how you can link them up. Okay? Everyone see how the precept works, the particles, put line by line, and the precept. Everyone sees how this works now. Okay, great. So what was committed to the Yahudims? Anyone?
Ten Commandments, Torah.
Where is these oracles supposed to be again?
In our hearts.
In your heart. So they were given the oracles. Everyone understands. They were given the Father's commandments, his instructions, his Torah, right? Everyone's good so far. No one's lost.
Again.
All right. Tehillim, or Mizmor, technically, 119:11 says, your word have I hid in my heart that I might not sin against you. Okay, so where is the word?
In my heart.
Okay, and what's it designed to do? Right, so you won't sin against him, right? Okay. Mizmor 37:31 says, the law of Elohim is in his heart. None of his steps shall slide. So as long as you keep his instructions, you shouldn't have to worry about sliding out of it. Okay, great. Psalms, or 119:97 says, oh, how love I your law. It is my meditation all the day, right? So he's meditating on this law, and you see in Psalms 1:2 where it says, but I delight in the law of Yahuah, and in his law do I meditate day and night. Okay? So we're starting to see where the law is supposed to be in your heart, and you're supposed to be meditating on it, dwelling on it. I would talk about fasting another time, but actually I think my dad Yahoo did that part. All right. Devarim 5:29. Oh, that there would be such a heart in them, that they would fear me and keep some of my commandments.
All my commandments.
Oh, okay.
Always.
Okay. So keep all my commandments always, that it might be well with them and with their
Children.
So if it's well with you, hopefully you're teaching it to your
Children.
it'll be well with them, right?
Okay.
Forever. And where it's supposed to be again?
In the heart.
Okay, all right. 6:5 says, and you shall love Yahuwah Elohim with
All your heart.
with
All your soul.
with all your might or your strength, right? And we'll do a little further detail into the difference between spirit and soul and heart in a future lesson. All right. 10:16 says, Devarim 10:16 says, circumcise therefore the foreskin of your heart and be not more stiff-necked. So if you notice, when we start getting into talking about the DNA and things like that, all that's going to be dealing with your mind, your blood, your heart, your soul. All of that is going to need to be reconditioned if it hasn't been. I don't know. Some of us might be there. Some of us are almost there. Some of us need a whole overhaul. Okay? I don't know which one everyone is.
Break that thing down to parade rest.
Yeah. Some people might need an extra. Somebody just say, give me a whole new body.
Let's just start to scrap this one and start all over.
Yeah. This body here is beat. Okay. All right. All right, so the purpose of the breastplate. Now, mind you, remember that the Septuagint is translating the word for oracle as choshen, or something that is considered in the heart area, right? So 24 says, and these are the garments which they shall make, a breastplate, and an ephod, and a robe, and a broidered coat, and a mitre, and a girdle, and they shall make Chodesh garments for Aharon and Aaron, your brother, and his sons, that he may minister unto me in the priestly office. Okay? Everyone good? All right. 28:30 says, and you shall put in the breastplate of judgment a thmicha or a thumim, the orecha or orim or light, which we'll talk about in just a minute, and they shall be upon Aaron's heart. Where is it supposed to be now?
On his heart.
Aaron's heart. When he goes in before Yahuwah, and Aharon and Aaron shall bear the judgment of the children of Israel or Israel upon his heart before Yahuwah continually. Okay, continually. So the first thing is, what does the word thymeme, as it says in the King James, thumim, what is that? What does that word mean? It's the word for perfect. Perfect, to be perfect.
Does that mean?
Same word. That's translated as to be perfect, and then the orim is word for light. Is everyone with me so far? So being perfect and having light, and does there have some symbolic meaning to this being in his heart? Okay, perfect light in his heart, right? Is everyone with me so far? All right. The picture, obviously, just for you guys to see. I'm not going to really go over that picture there. Yeah. I doubt it. Okay, so understanding his word. Hebrews 11:1 says, now faith is the
substance.
We're going to understand what substance is. Substance is going to be the word. You're going to need this substance in you. We'll see how this works in a minute. Of things
hoped for,
and the evidence of things not seen. For by it the elders obtained a good report. Through faith we understand that the worlds were framed by the word of Elohim, so that the things which are seen were not made of things which do appear. So faith is the substance and evidence of things not seen. So again, I won't know how you guys understand the word unless we start to see it. And it has to be seen, right? So it can just be black letters with a white background on the book for some people. I read it. It sounds good.
How you walk
I
this
asked you
thing
about
out.
it 2 weeks ago. I did read it. What did it say? I don't remember. It became just words in the book. But if you're actually walking it out and applying it,
Meditating on
then we can start to see the fruit. We can start to see that it's really sinking in X, Y, and Z. Is everyone okay with that? I'm not saying that you guys are not reading, or anyone's not reading for that matter. Okay? Just give me an example. Just in case I don't get no banana pudding. All right, so Romans 10:17 says, so then faith comes by
Hearing
and hearing.
by the word of Elohim.
So the word of Elohim is very, very, very important in this whole process that we're going to see. So that's why I'm really homing in on the word for sure, and specifically in your heart. Okay, the word is the particles, and we are the atoms. We're going to see how that works. Okay, particles, the word, and atom. So we are the atom, and the word is the
Particles.
Okay, so you need that part inside of you. Is everyone with me so far? Okay. So the Father's word is what framed all things. It is also called matter. We are made of mass, and excuse me, and it was first unseen by and made seen by what? By you, by nature, this world, right? So what I want us to see is when we go to Genesis, we start talking about in Genesis about, which we'll do actually now. Mm-hmm.
The child is birthed, but you can't see it
Mm-mm.
in the mother's womb, and then it grows, and then it comes forth.
Mm-hmm. Comes out now. You'll see the whole process starts from the word. Okay.
Might need to go back.
Go back one. Oh yeah, we definitely need to upgrade. Okay. One more time. Okay. So when a person says, I don't want to give it energy, what does that mean to you?
I don't want to give it life. I don't want to give it my time. I don't want to give it basically life. I don't want to waste my time or my energy on that. Whatever
Okay.
it is.
So then that means that there's a way to do that. There's a way to give it energy. There's a way to give it life. How do you do that?
By
Okay. So in a positive way, you say righteousness, right? But if you don't want to, give it, if you don't want to give it energy,
You have to have it, want it,
okay.
give it any kind of structure.
Okay, so just keep in mind, remember, your words, your actions, all of this is coming out of you, right? It has to start with a thought. Then ultimately it becomes words. Then ultimately it starts to create energy, right? We're going to see how energy is created the same way, obviously. We're going to see how it works, and then go from there. To search something. Here's Yahuah 29:11 through 14, where it says, for I know the thoughts that I think towards you, saith Yahuah. Thoughts of peace and not of evil, to give you an expected end. Then shall you call upon me, and you shall go and pray unto me, and I will hearken unto you. And you shall seek me and find me when you shall search for me with all of your heart. So it has to be an all or none thing, right? Some of us get a little scared to give our hearts because we might have been through something, right? So because we've been through something, we're kind of giving partial or half. And then if it's leaders, I would say, for an example, that have done you wrong or something like that, then you kind of don't want to give, but you're, in a sense, have some hesitation in giving all of yourself. Has anyone experienced that, I guess, first? Yeah. Okay. So he's asking you, meaning the Father's asking you to give it your all, but he's using his teachers and people to help you get there, But if you're being hesitant with them or not giving them the full understanding, then it winds up becoming a problem for you. But at the same time, if you do give it to them and then they stomp on it and they do you wrong, then obviously that becomes a problem as well, right? All right. So I said we are his children who has to keep searching for him through his word. If you believe you have fulfilled this task, meaning both him and his word, you have fooled yourself. We have found him, but we still must seek his word until we fulfill Yahuah, Jeremiah 31:31. Right? Everyone knows the story. He's going to put his words in our inward parts. It's going to cause us to do something. Until that happens, we're still searching, we're still seeking, we're still trying to get there, right? So when we no longer need to teach one another, we all know him from the least to the greatest. 14 says, and I will be found of you, saith Yahuah, and I will turn away your captivity, and I will gather you from all the nations and from all the places whither I have driven you, saith Yahuah, and I will bring you again into the place when I caused you to be carried away captive. So again, has this happened yet? Okay. So we're gathered now from all nations and no, not yet. Okay.
I will gather you.
Okay. All right. So until that happens, there's some things that you got to do. There's some things that we got to do. There's some things that he's asking us to do. All right. So Yahuah gave his commandment to his people to have a relationship with him. So ultimately, you need to have a relationship with the Most High. Who else you need to have a relationship with? Huh? Michelle? Okay. Who else? Each other. Somehow we stay so up there somewhere.
Yeah.
I don't need none of you guys down here.
No, sir, I don't need you.
So therefore, and I'm still going to the same place you're going.
I hope you be there. I know I will.
Yeah. I hope to see you there. But when you see him there, you still got that same attitude.
Yeah.
Okay.
You still over there, and I still over here.
So there has to be a relationship, okay? So if you are struggling with his commandments, you can cause the curse to be on you. The relationship comes with a blessing and a curse. Remember, you agreed to the covenant. If you all agreed to the covenant, it came with some conditions. And the conditions was blessings if you, curses if you. So as one of the things they tell you to do is to love your neighbor as yourself, or we should watch over each other, get each other's back. Is that something we're supposed to do?
Yeah.
So that's a part of the covenant.
Part of it.
Okay. And if we don't do it, we try and figure out why we're struggling.
Well, y'all forgive us.
Okay, well, maybe. All right. Fix it in the kingdom, Father. That's how it works? Fix it in the kingdom. I know you'll do it in the future for me, but right now I need you. All right.
When y'all get through it.
He's not through with me yet. Okay. All right. Deborah 4:29 says, but if from thence you shall seek Yahuah your Elohim, you shall find him, if you seek him with all your heart and with all your soul. When you are in tribulation and all these things are come upon you, even in the latter days, if you turn to Yahuah your Elohim, he shall be obedient unto his voice, right? Or is it your voice? So if he's going to be obedient to his voice, help me understand what this means. So what I want you to see here is, if you're seeking him with all your heart, with all your soul, right? If we're doing that, and then it says, when you come some tribulation, this tribulation is going to come upon you by way of, he's talking about physical tribulation, right? Or mental tribulation, right? Okay, it's not going to be by him. He's not giving you the tribulation yet, right? All right, so if you come across that tribulation, even in the latter days, and you turn to your Yahuah, and he said he will be obedient to his word. That means whatever his word says, he's going to be it to whatever his word says. But if you're not going to be obedient to his word, now what happens? I'm still going to be obedient to you. Is that how that works?
No,
Well, how does it work?
you have to be giving him your all or nothing.
So this is an all or nothing deal? Everyone agrees this is an all or nothing deal? Are we treating it like it's an all or nothing deal?
No,
See, I got that favor.
Oh, okay.
His grace and mercy.
Oh, yeah. Or you can't tell me I don't have, right? You're not going to tell me I don't have his spirit, right? But if you start pointing out some things that you're doing wrong, you say, okay, I'm not going to say you don't have a spirit, but what about these things? Are you willing to do these? No. Well, if you're not willing to do that, is that his word, though? Yes. Are you being obedient to it? Then what are you getting? Blessings if you're getting what now? You're starting to grab those curses. Okay? I wonder why I'm struggling. I wonder why I'm going through some things. I wonder why this. I wonder why that. Something is happening to you because he's trying to wake you up. He's not trying to destroy you. He's just trying to waken you up to say, hey, you know what you're supposed to do, but you're not doing it. Okay? So I got to get your attention. Hosea 5:15 says, I will go and return to my place. Why? He says, till they acknowledge their offenses. So what happens now? Okay. And seek my face in their. So that means in your affliction, I try to figure what I'm going through. He said, they will seek me. All right. So it's not a strange thing for some people when you're going through something, then you call on them. Huh? But things going well, you give them credit. I'll give you that much. You give him credit. Oh, yeah, he did this for me. Now let me go do what I got to go do. Not take the time. Father, let me give you some praise, some worship. Let's do all these great things for him. But the minute something happens, oh, Father, you're down a lot longer on your knees when something's going wrong than you are when things are going great.
Turning the plate down.
Oh, yeah.
Television on.
Mm-hmm.
We don't talk to nobody.
Oh, yeah. We become real spiritual. All right. So notice the acknowledging of your offenses. Notice you must turn back or return to him and be obedient to his voice. Then he will hear you and you will find him. Then we can have a relationship. Okay? Mm-hmm. All right, so we have to understand, well, it's a cycle. If we all understand his word, it says it over all different places. He keeps saying it over and over. He's hoping that we get it, right? I don't like Isaiah. Well, you'll find it in Jeremiah. Well, I don't like Jeremiah. You'll find it in Zechariah. Wherever you go, them prophets are going to be saying the same thing. Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. One of the things I think it kind of sticks out to me is that we have to acknowledge our offense.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times we don't want to acknowledge what we did.
I ain't do nothing wrong.
You know, you act like
you did it.
Yeah, we don't know what we did.
Mm-hmm.
What happened, or how we got in this situation.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it just kind of goes into a blur. But if we don't acknowledge our offense, we can seek his face all day long.
So what happens if you say you're right, the other person says they're right? How do you, in other words, as far as they're concerned, I didn't do no offense. The other one says I didn't do no offense. How do you resolve that?
We go to the word.
Huh? We go to the word?
Okay. The word
what does the word say, since we're going to go to it? Yeah. What does it say?
Whatever the word says.
What does it say? Okay. So you go to them and they say, no, you wrong. No, you wrong. What's next? There you go. See, there's a structure he's already set in place. So if you think you're right and you think you're right and you guys can't resolve it, you go to the next stage. Okay, the next stage is for that person that's going to mediate that, he has to do a diligent position and figure out what's going on, see who was right, what's wrong, and then if it needs to be a counsel, if it needs to be judge, whatever it is. In other words, there's levels to this to make sure that, it's handled correctly. The problem with some of that is you're not going to tell me what to do.
Oh, no.
Oh, you took that person's side because you like them.
Mm-hmm.
I know we don't do that, so that's why I'm able to talk to family like that.
I'm grown.
We don't do none of that stuff.
I put on my pants just like you put on yours.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
You gonna tell me?
Mm-hmm. He got me this big house and car. See, clearly I'm doing right.
Oh, yeah.
See, in other words, we start looking at things. Right. So that blessing could have been a blessing for you for a purpose, right? But you want to use that as ammunition against your brother or your sister. Okay? Not good. But I know we don't do that. So that's why I said it's easy to talk to you guys. All right. Relationship. In the Hebrew, there are 2 and 3 letter roots. There are words that have 4 letter roots we'll talk about much later. The bulk of the scriptures are made up of 2 or 3 letter roots. Why?
Hey, Maury, is it because they build off of each other? Each word like creates another word?
Almost. I mean, that's a small part of it. Okay, so it says the roots are called parent root. A parent root consists of a male and a female. In order for life to be produced, the parent root must come together and establish a relationship. So I'm going to start off there. We're going to build from this, okay? So right now I'm just talking about something that's practical that we all can agree, most of us can agree on.
Well, yeah, you're right. Most.
Right, we'll keep going. It'll come out in just a minute. Did you put a disclaimer on YouTube? Okay. So again, we're going to see that parent roots is a parent root. Whatever he says is a parent root, that's what it is. There are things that come out masculine, things that come out feminine. There's a reason for masculine and feminine nouns, verbs, action, things like that. There's a purpose for that. Okay? All right, so Genesis 4:1 says, and Adam knew Hawa, his Isha, his wife, and she conceived and bare Cain or Cain, and said, I have gotten a man from Yahuah. Okay, so I have a purpose for the male. I have a purpose for the female. When they come together, they will produce life. They will produce after like kind. They will produce my image throughout the world, which we'll see more in just a minute. All right, so we see one form. This is not the only form. Because some say, well, I don't have, or it has nothing to do with that. It has things to deal with. There's still things that you're going to have that he doesn't have, something that he has that you don't have. They have to come together. So we'll see that in just a minute. All right, so when words come together and have a relationship, it creates syntax and context, right? So we'll have to go over that. Sentences need a verb to drive the action of the sentence. As we look into the Ruach, we will see that the Ruach operates like a verb. In Scripture, the Ruach gave skills and wisdom to people to make things happen. Does everyone remember that? Remember, let's say the building of the tabernacle. The Spirit came upon certain people, gave them some skills, gave them some wisdom, gave them some understanding, right? Spirit today gives you same thing, right? And then tells you you can get wisdom if you ask for it. But why does the Spirit do this? Because you're starting to see that it gives you this action. You're asking or wanting something out of this deal. Hopefully it's positive, right? Is everybody with me so far?
Okay.
All right, so all verb stems are actions. The 2 words that describes the action, work or energy, and to build something is the binyanim, right? That's the word for the 7. You went over there, right? Okay, so the 7 binyans, if you will. So the word binyan in Hebrew means building or structure. The idea is that we can build all verbs by obeying certain rules. So in other words, Hebrew has rules, meaning his language has rules. Your body obeys certain rules if you eat a certain way, if you allow it to. And then we have rules governing one another. There's rules between us and the Father. Everything has rules. There's structure to everything. Okay, from you all the way to the Creator, to the universe. Okay, all right. So the word binyan comes from the 3-letter bana. The root word for bana but the root word for a son or bin is bana. The same word for a daughter. The Hebrew word for daughter is bat. Right. The root word that word is bana. Same thing for house. The Hebrew word for house, bait. The root word for that is bana. Notice that all 3 deals with a structure. Daughter is a structure, son is a structure, the house has to have structure. Everything has to have that. All right, so relationship between how Hebrew works, his word, and seeing the word operate like the DNA/RNA, which we'll talk about in a minute, within us, and how we work will play a big part in understanding how to walk out his word in spirit and in truth. Okay? Okay, so those are your verb patterns. We're not talking about that today. But the pa'al means to do or to make or to act or to work. So I got some examples of that. To your far right, if you're looking at it, with the word pa'al, right? It means action. It's also for energy, action and energy. And if you look at the pa'al, the peel, the hifil, you'll see the simple, the intensive, the causative forms. All this is Hebrew syntax and grammar we're not going to talk about today, but just understand that all of this means something, okay? Psalm 74:12 says, "For Elohim is my king of old." What is he doing? Working. The root of that word is pa'al, working salvation in the midst of the earth. There's work that has to be done. Psalm 6:8 says, "Depart from me, all you workers of iniquity, for Yahuah has heard the voice of my weeping." So, of course, we can mirror that with Matthew's 22 through 23. It says, "Many will say unto me in that day, Adon, Adon, have we not prophesied in thy name, and in your name cast out devils, and in your name done many wonderful works?" I mean, judge me, Father. Look at all the works that I do. I am awesome. Okay.
Only what you do.
"Then will I profess unto them, I never knew you. Depart from me, you that work iniquity." Okay. So again, there's a type of work that's going to be judged. Isaiah 43:13 says, "Yea, before the day was, I am he, and there is none that can deliver out of my hands." Then he says, af'al or pa'al. You see pa'al, but it's af'al. But it says, "I will work, and who shall let it, or who shall stop it?" No one can do that, right? So again, you're going to see there's work that is going to be done. I don't care if when the Father tells you to do something, okay, what it is, you got to be obedient to do it. Okay, who's going to stop that? Yeah, I mean, you can do like a Jonah, you know, say, "Hey, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to jump on a boat and go on the other side," and it ain't happening. And then all of a sudden, what happened? He wound up where he needed to be anyway, right? He took the longer route, and a little struggle to get there, but he got there. Is everyone with me so far?
Like, you ever been standing on the beach?
All the time. I was just on there when I was in Netanya, Israel. Oh, okay, go ahead.
Yeah. And you see a big wave coming, and you trying to stop it?
No, I didn't try to stop that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Who gonna stop it?
Gonna let that thing go. Devarim, Deuteronomy 32:4 says, "He is the rock, his work is perfect." His work is perfect. And what is being established here is how work and his word goes together. It will come alive. So in other words, if his word is perfect, you believe it is, I believe it is, we all say it is. And if we're commanded to be perfect, if those two come together, you have perfection. Now, what does perfect mean? Y'all remember? Tamim means mature, to be upright. So we already know his word is good. And if it's not working in you, it's because what? You're not good. Right? So when you're good and his word is good and they come together as one, you guys have a relationship, you have an agreement, you walk it out, it becomes
a perfect light in your heart.
Mm-hmm. Now, you got some people that come and steal it if you allow them to. All right, so Adam, or Adam, which you'll see later on. I would like to present a case that will be explored in the future lesson. This may help us see ourselves and see Elohim in this. Okay, is everyone ready?
Do it.
Okay, so I want to see how we feel about this. So I said, an atom by itself cannot produce life. It is when an atom combined with other atoms that true life begins. That is going to be your hint. Okay? So where do you think I'm going so far? Huh? Anyone want to take a good?
Life.
Huh?
Producing life.
Producing life, okay.
Well, you know, you can't have two atoms coming together because, in the sense of two types of.
Okay.
A male and a male, and they ain't gonna produce no life.
What in the world are y'all talking about?
No, I mean, because woman was, woman came out of man. You're looking at an atom as far as like a particle, and then you're looking at Adam as far as a man being created from the ground.
Okay, let's just simplify this.
Oh, we're just talking about atoms.
Okay. Uh-huh.
Not Adam.
I'm looking.
All in one body. They're all in the same body.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm looking at
Okay.
it as it's a, myself by myself.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot do what the Father has intended for me to do.
Okay.
But if I go to Him, here comes a relationship with my heart in the right place, and He wants to do, and He wants me to be right. So now it's two parents. I have a relationship. I have a father's male. I'm female. I'm his daughter. He's my sovereign. He's my king. I mean, he's everything.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a relationship when it's combined. I'm doing what he asked me to do. I'm living for him. I want to be with him. So
Okay.
that's my take on it.
That's your take? Okay.
I'll make this quick. Okay. The body is made out of many atoms, correct?
Okay.
So, the body. We are a body.
Okay. All right. Anyone else?
We're a body of Yahushua Messiah.
Okay. All right. So, maybe sure I'm
Let's
reading the same
finish
thing.
the text.
An atom by itself cannot produce life. All right. So it is when an atom combines with other atoms that true life begins. I'm saying this is a hint. Right? It says hint. I promise you. It didn't just appear or nothing. Right? So what I'm getting at is there must be something that, in order for this to happen, we got to come together. Right? But before we talk about us coming together, we'll go here. All right. All right. So the atoms are, atom has a proton, which I would like to introduce as man. Okay? Man. Okay? Proton, energy, right? Electron is to be seen as a woman. Okay? Woman, right? Energy. I said, think about the word helpmate in Genesis chapter 2. They create a what? A bond, right? They should be creating a bond. The neutron has, I want you all to see it as the ruach or the spirit. That is the force that we will see, okay? So the Father is in the nucleus, which we'll see in a minute. More of this later, so, but power that holds things together. So we'll see how the nucleus works with all of this. So remember the parent root is the atom. It has everything to produce life. So everything in that atom has everything to produce life. Keep that in mind. But does not produce life by itself. All right? So it will have to bond with other atoms and produce molecules to produce life. We'll talk about molecules probably next week, depending on some of these answers I get. All right, so here's an example. Genesis 2:7. And Yahuah Elohim formed man out of the dust of the ground. This is your mass and matter. Is everyone okay with that? All right. And breath into his nostrils. This is your energy. You know, the spirit, right? This is, and the breath of life. And man became a living soul, right? He became a force. Okay, this is where the coding started in the body, which we'll see in a little bit. Well, next week. So this stage can be looked at as the call stem phase. Call means the simple stage here, simple phase. The simple form, if you will, to have life, you need the matter to come alive by way of energy. So I'm saying not just this way, but even in life itself, you need this, right? The energy is working in the matter to give life or a life force, right? So in order to be a living soul, the energy must have relationship with the matter. I say on all levels because the living soul is first dealing with yourself, right? But also all of us outside are living souls. And if in order for us to get along, in order for us to make atoms come together, we got to be able to do this. So I really wasn't going the direction I think you guys wanted to go. But I just want to keep it real simple so far. All right.
Hallelujah.
All right. So we got about maybe 4 more slides, and then I got some questions. All right. So Job 19:20 says, "And though after my skin worms destroy the body, yet in my flesh shall I see Elohim." Right? Anyone remember Job reading this? Okay? So let's look into ourselves, and see if we can see Elohim. That's the challenge. All right, so in the nucleus of the cell is where the seed is that will produce like kind. The seed, the seed, excuse me, I don't know if that's corona or not. All right, so the seed, it says, I'm using, let's say an apple. I'm using the apple as the example. The DNA does not contain the apple, but the information to make it. Is everyone with me? Have I lost nobody? Right. Right. It's the information. You're going to see why in a minute. This will be the pattern for mankind from Yahuah. We are the image and likeness from the information coded onto us in the nucleus of the DNA. But we are not him. Is everyone with me so far? All right. So the DNA has to be turned into RNA, which we'll talk about in a minute. RNA, in order for the information to leave the nucleus. DNA does not leave the nucleus because it always has to be protected since it carries our genes. Simple, right? Is everyone good with science? Okay. All right.
I got some scientists out there, don't worry.
Okay, great. So I want you to picture this as the father being in the nucleus. So in other words, he's the one that's inside. He's not leaving. He's in the nucleus. Imagine the throne. I think I wrote up here about the throne room, right? Yeah, his throne with beings surrounding it. This is like the nucleus. Okay? What makes this more interesting is the breakdown of the RNA, or the messenger RNA, right? So it carries the genetic information copied from the DNA in the form of a series of 3 base codes, which we'll see later on. Remember I talked about the 3-letter roots? All right? The word, so each which specifies a particular amino acid. They are considered 3-letter roots called codons and have how many? 22 amino acids. Now, how many Hebrew letters we say? 22, which are connected in a human being. So, proteinogenic amino acids are amino acids that are incorporated into a biosynthetically into protein during translation. We'll talk about translation next week. The word proteinogenic means protein creating. So we'll see why protein is needed in the body, but also how we can create protein amongst one another. Throughout known life, there are 22 genetically encoded protein amino acids, 20 in the standard genetic code, and additional 2 that can be incorporated by a special translation mechanism in the tRNA, or the transfer RNA. Is anyone familiar with tRNA is? Okay.
It's kind of like we'll have, me and my wife, she's one, I'm another, and we come together, we have a child, we transfer part of ours, each of us, to that one,
Right.
the new one.
Right. So we're going to see how the messenger RNA, for an example, how it unravels. DNA, you see it as a helix, right? You see this here. But the RNA you're going to see it's going to unravel, if you will. You're going to have one strand. We're going to talk about a strand and this strand, and these 2 strands come together and creates another, right? Is everyone with me with that? Okay. So we'll see that in just a minute. Huh? Let me see. Uh-oh, somebody's in trouble. Okay, so I would like to show how the 3 and 22, like the 22 Hebrew letters, create a message word that can bring forth life and make like kind after like kind. The parallel between the word of Yahuah and how we are designed are so similar that we can actually see Yahuah in our bodies. But yeah, we're going to actually go in to see how that works. All right, so what is important here is knowing our purpose or understanding our purpose can help us appreciate the one who made us. We are not the DNA in this remez or so state, meaning this example that I gave here. We are the RNAs. We are the messengers of the DNA. Is everyone with me? So you're not the Father, but you are the messenger on behalf of the Father. Okay. We were designed to see him within ourselves in our walk, creating a positive energy that would create light. So I know I said positive energy, and I told women we're negative energy, right? So I had to add a little bit more just to help that out a little bit. I don't want none of the sisters leaving here thinking they negative. That ain't me. I'm not no negative energy. I don't know where you got that from. Got it. So I shared that women are a negative charge. Okay? So I do not want this to be understood as negative person. Okay? You are to be a stable subatomic particle with a charge of negative electricity found in all atoms and acting as a primary carrier of electricity in solids. So just like a battery, right? Everyone says a battery. You need both of those things in order for it to work, right? Okay. Awesome. So the word in his DNA is his DNA. It is called light, truth, and has power. Everyone agrees to that part. Only if we operate by his design, both are needed to work. Think of a battery as I put here. There is a positive and a negative side, right? So everyone agrees that that's how that works. I'm saying is you're going to see how we operate like that in the future, but we need each other. Right? The whole design of how he made us is for us to need each other, and ultimately we need him. So when we change the codes, it will no longer bond to the DNA strand, i.e. the creator. So if we decided we want to do it our way, we change the code. If we change the code, we're no longer connected. We do no longer have a relationship anymore. Okay?
We no longer look like his children.
Nope. So we cannot bring forth his message operating in our own RNA, our own message. The bond only takes place when we bond with the right source. The atom grows when it attaches to other atoms. How can we grow together as a people claiming to be preparing for the kingdom when we are a divided people? How's that possible? Right? So the adversary's kingdom is growing at an alarming rate. What does this tell you? Doesn't tell you nothing, huh? I got you. Yahuah will be here soon. Remember, evil is steady growing, right? So he is looking for a people that is following the DNA strand he provided. We cannot be his messenger, violating his word. The end result for all RNAs is death, which we'll talk about next week. Ask yourself, did I listen, obeyed, follow the message that was given to me? That's your question. The code or codes given to me, did I walk them out in the way that I was made to? Did you do that? Is he pleased with how I gave his message? Are my actions, word, particles, our part, energy, work, joy, pleasing to him? These are questions you have to ask yourself because this is going to be what's happening inside of you spiritually, right? So these are questions for you guys. Now I'm asking you answer it right now. You guys can talk to the Father on your prayer time. All right. Almost there. So the DNA strand. What can we tell? What can you tell me about DNA strands, right? So you remember, you see the helix, right? And then you see it unwinding, right? Does anyone kind of share a little bit about what these letters mean and things like that? Okay, no worries.
Not in the room.
Okay. We'll get into that. All right, so it says when these strands are separated, they cannot produce life. They both have information but cannot produce life. Same thing with a male and a female. Females have information, males have information. When they come together, they can produce life. Is everyone with me so far? All right, so this example can be applied to a male and female, both having the code or codes to produce life. If they come together, this code does not work with a male and a male, right? It just doesn't work. The back blast area is not clear for that, okay? All right, female with female. You just can't do that, right? What? What? It's true. Oh, okay. All right. So this will be considered against nature, right? Romans 1:26. Also, the creation of mankind. All that's against what he says. You can't do that. Mm-hmm.
Both have information for life, but they cannot produce.
Right. They can't produce. Oh, all right. So there is one more way to this can be applied, which is the Ezekiel story, right? Ezekiel 37. Remember, it says, "Say unto them, Thus saith Adonai Yahuah, Behold, I will take the stick of Yosef, which is in the hands of Ephraim and the tribe of Yisrael, his fathers, and I will put them with him, even with the stick of Yehudah, and make them one stick, and they shall be one in my hand." Right? So these patterns will be seen throughout the Sefer, throughout the scriptures. Two helix coming together, two sticks coming together, two trees coming together to produce life. All right? Something that was whole but became separate needs to be rejoined. Okay, a divided kingdom cannot stand. The Day of Jubilee is about restoration, right? Bringing things back together. All right, each strand has something the other one needs. They are opposites of each other but operate as one, like a relationship. Think about the male and the female. Both have information that the other does not. But when they come together, they share the information and become whole or become one. Is everyone with me so far? Okay. Okay, so how come the DNA never leaves the nucleus? Y'all really didn't do this in school, huh?
Because that's the creator. The creator is in both male and female.
Oh, wow. Okay. Okay. I
In
remember,
short.
I was in school too now. Okay.
See,
All right.
you went there specifically
All right.
for this.
Fine.
All right. To maintain the perfect copy, all right, so you can make many replicas of the original. The hope is that the replica or the copy will produce after its kind, or that it will carry out the goal, the message of the originator. Okay? So, again, it maintains the perfect copy. It's not coming out of the nucleus. All right? Really quick. All right, remember this here? It says, "What advantage then does the Yehudim, or what profit there is of circumcision? It is much in every way, chiefly because unto them were committed the oracles of Elohim," right? All right. The originator gave Yehudah, or Israel, his oracles so that they can be a light to the world. Okay? The message be one message to all that join themselves to it. Right? That's what he did. So that's why they have an advantage. Right? So I want you to, we're going to see that when the originator said, okay, I'm going to give this word or this code or this information to them, the objective is for them to go out and teach all nations. And then as these messengers go out, these messengers are going to be given the message. And if they choose to attach to that message, he's now created what? There's a replica of him in all nations, right? That desires to do that. Now, I'm not advocating the mixing, if you will. I'm just simply sharing that his word has to go out and give everybody the opportunity to know who he is, right? All right. Next week. So when the messenger RNA leaves out of the nucleus, it leaves behind thymine, which we'll talk about next week, and enters into the cytoplasm, i.e. the world. So I'm just going to say you guys really not into this part, right? Meaning y'all don't remember none of this in school. Okay. All right. So, all right. Okay. All right. So anyway, so, all right. So it will take on uracil, which is found in living tissues. In other words, it's going to leave thymine, it's going to go away. It's going to be replaced when it comes out into the world. I'm using world, but realistically in cytoplasm, it will take on uracil. Okay? So uracil is basically found in living tissue. Everyone should understand that, right? All right, so that carries into synthesis. We're going to see how that works. So I'm paralleling this with somebody, which you guys will see in just a minute. I think you guys know who I'm paralleling this with. My point here is to show how the messenger RNA, i.e. Mashiach, leaves behind something to give the message to others that will be the other messenger RNA strands to carry out the DNA. Is everyone follow me now? Okay. The messenger on it will be seen as the servant. That's the messenger or the servant. Okay, once this is complete, the thing it lost will be rejoined or joined, meaning for the Mashiach, it'll be something that he'll be rejoining. For some, it will be joined. Does everyone understand? So my question, what was that something that was left behind? What did he leave behind?
Amadeus.
He used the word. You sure? Okay. We'll see in just a minute. It's coming.
Oh,
See
I was going to
what was
say,
left behind in this scenario. I'm just going to tell it to you. I don't know if you guys are going to
I
guess.
should, never mind.
There
Go
it
ahead,
is.
Maury.
Here it is. And now, O Father, esteem me, you me with your own self, with the esteem or the, as it commonly called, the glory, right? The kabod which I had with you before the world was. He left that to get the message out. And then now he's asking for that esteem or that quote unquote glory back, right? So we're going to see how this whole DNA helix works in our life. How if we attach ourselves, then at some point we can be able to be joined into getting some esteem, or commonly called in the KJV glory, right? I know I use the word esteem or kabod versus the word glory only because the word glory comes from a goddess Gloria and so on and so on, right? So anyway, they want to understand what's going on here now. All right. So, so look at the reward we will have if we become the servants of the covenant. We're the messenger for this covenant. All right. So he was the prototype. If we follow the prototype, then we can also be a part of that covenant and get the esteem, if you will, that the Mashiach also had. Okay? All right, so we have the tools to become good soldiers. I pray that we do those things. And questions or comments pertaining to the lesson? Anyone?
Maria, I have one. I want to go back to the Adam and Adam.
Okay. You want to go
That's
back to?
still pondering in my mind. Even though we were talking about what's the difference, or what is the difference between the Adam and the Adam,
Mhm.
we understand that woman was taken out of man,
Mhm.
and that the Adams are still living in woman also. And
Mhm.
so, we go on down the line. I'm just talking about simple biology as far as creating life and so on and so forth.
Mhm.
And we do know that the Father is always in us because the Father is the nucleus in a nutshell. Because I'm talking really fast because I don't want to run out my 60
I
seconds and
know
you
it.
mute my.
I got you. Mhm.
So that's what I was talking about.
I got you. Yep.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Absolutely. But we'll get more into it for sure. As I said, I'm just really giving an overview of what we're going to be talking about coming in upcoming weeks. And then after that, after we finish this series, my next series is going to be dealing with eschatology. So we're going to go from Genesis to Revelations, and I want us to see a pattern. I want us to see what's happening, why these patterns are repeating itself. Are we in that same repeated pattern or not? How to get out of that pattern, and how we can achieve it to make it to the end. All right. So that'll be after I do this one here, and then I'll do that, and then after that I should be in the land. Then I'll double check that.
The year ain't up yet, Lucky.
Oh, okay.
That whole year.
We're gonna see.
Yeah, I think you
We'll
need to
see.
double check that, Maury. On a more somber note,
Uh-huh.
this is what they're saying, that if anybody going into the land, you'd have to be on a 14-day hold.
Oh yeah.
Hmm.
But this lesson is gonna go way past the 14-day hold. This particular one
Oh,
now.
good.
Yeah.
Hallelujah.
So I still got more time on the next one, and then after that we'll be just doing some tune-ups. That's all. Just fine tuning each other's understanding of the word. That's all we'll be doing after that. I really wanted to do one more Torah portion series. It'd be more in Hebrew, but I think I'll wait until how we are in the Hebrew before I do that.
All right.
It'd be a lot easier.
Hallelujah.
Malek Shalom has a question.
Malek Shalom. Okay.
Hello?
Shalom, okay.
Shalom, shalom. Got a basic question. Since we're speaking about Adam, I want to get your thoughts on the book of Adam and Eve. Who
yeah, that's easy. You can scratch that. You can throw that in the garbage.
Oh, well.
Yeah. All right. So the reason I say that obviously because I don't know if you looked at the research or the history behind how that book came about, but it is such a late century. It has no backing to it, meaning the person that came up with it. I don't know how far you gotten into it. I guess I'll say it that way first. But there's no historical evidence of the book of Adam and Eve. Though they have some nice stuff in there, there's some things that totally contradict the Torah, A. And B, the Greek and Latin copy that was found was dating to, I think, 14th or 15th century. They have nothing that goes back into the BCE time period.
Toda. I put that on my list of books to read, but since you said that, then
I don't want to put a line through it. It's fine.
All right. So what about the book of Enoch?
Book of Enoch is a pretty decent book. I mean, yeah, it's been found. It's been in a Hebrew copy, Aramaic copy, Greek copy, Ethiopian copy. I mean, even the ones that they found in Qumran, the ones that were found there predate the time that the Essenes were there. That was an ongoing book that they've always had.
Okay. Tuda.
All right. Anyone else? Okay. So if all hearts and minds clear, we'll close. But also, we got to do the Hebrew class, and we got a handout for you guys to go over, which we're going to do. So the last 2 weeks that we went over things, we were just picking little pieces here and there, right? So now we're going to have an actual conversation that you all know the words to it anyway. But we're going to actually have a conversation, and you guys are going to have that conversation every day, prayerfully, every day. All right, so what we'll do is we'll close this out, close on prayer. We're going to open up and do the Hebrew portions really fast. It's not going to be long at all, actually. And then from there, Yahuah is online. He can walk out with you guys some of the printouts that we're going to go over in just a minute. Okay? I promise you it won't be that long. All right, so we'll stand and close really fast, and then we'll just do that part, and we're good. Want to close it?
For the word that we heard today, we thank you, Father, for using our senior Moreh to bring forth the word. We just thank you, Father, for just opening up our minds and allowing us to see a word from a different perspective. And we really have a lot to understand. And we just thank you, Father, for this word that we heard today. We just ask, Father, that you would just allow that word to meditate, to just simmer in our spirits, Father, that we can apply it to our lives so that we can be a light into the world, so that we can be bonded to this nucleus, and so that we can be all that you will have us to be. We just love you, and we thank you for the word. And we pray, Father Yahuah, for those, hallelujah, that are hurting in their bodies. We pray that the Spirit of Yahuah will be upon them. We also pray for those that are sick. We pray that you give them speedy recovery right now. We also pray for those, Father, that are in situations right now they don't know how to get out of. But, Father, we know that you, hallelujah, you said you would never leave us nor forsake us. Help them to get to that point to where they can call upon you and you can give them an answer so that that need can be met. So we ask this in your Son, Yahushua's name, and we pray and we say thank you. Hallelujah. Ameen and Ameen.